A Constable Calls by Seamus Heaney. His bicycle stood at the windowsill, the rubber cowl of a mud splasher skirting the front mudguard, its fat black handle grips heating in sunlight, the spud of the dynamo gleaming and cocked back, the pedal treads hanging, relieved of the boot of the law. His cap was upside down on the floor next his chair. Its line of pressure ran like a bevel in his slightly sweating hair. He had unstrapped the heavy ledger, and my father was making tillage returns in acres, roods, and perches. Arithmetic and fear. I sat staring at the polished holster with its buttoned flap, the braid cord looped into the revolver butt. Any other good crops? Mangolds, Maristems, anything like that? No. But was there not a line of turnips where the seed ran out in the potato field? I assumed small guilts and sat, imagining the black hole in the barracks. He stood up, shifted his baton case further round on his belt, closed the doomsday book, fitted his cap back with two hands, and looked at me as he said goodbye. A shadow bobbed in the window. He was snapping the carrier spring over the ledger. His boot pushed off and the bicycle ticked, ticked, ticked.
Out in the Dark by Edward Thomas. Out in the dark over the snow, the fallow fawns invisible go, with the fallow doe and the winds blow fast as the stars are slow. Stealthily the dark haunts round, and, when the lamp goes without sound, at a swifter bound than the swiftest hound, arrives, and all else is drowned. And star and I, and wind and deer, are in the dark together, near yet far, and fear drums on my ear in that sage company drear. How weak and little is the light, all the universe of sight, love and delight before the might, if you love it not, of night.
In Memory of My Mother by Patrick Kavanagh. I do not think of you lying in the wet clay of a morning graveyard. I see you walking down a lane among the poplars on your way to the station, or happily going to second mass on a summer Sunday. You meet me and you say, "Don't forget to see about the cattle." Among your earthiest words the angels stray. And I think of you walking along a headland of green oats in June, so full of repose, so rich with life. And I see us meeting at the end of a town on a fair day by accident, after the bargains are all made, and we can walk together through the shops and stalls and markets, free in the oriental streets of thought. Oh, you are not lying in the wet clay, for it is a harvest evening now, and we are piling up the ricks against the moonlight, and you smile up at us eternally.
Skinnydipping by Jean O'Brien. I'm Irish. We keep our clothes on most of the time. We perform contorted dances on beaches in Cork or Donegal, undressing under not yet wet towels, worried that any gap might expose us, lay some body part bare. It was the Immaculate Conception that did it. If Mary could conceive a child without removing her knickers, then by God the rest of us could undress and swim without baring our buttocks. We swam serene in freezing seas, goosebumps freckling our pale skin. We lay togged out on wet sand, desperate for the weak sun to dry us, before performing the contorted dance in reverse. Now as I remove my clothes, peel them off, layer by layer, down to the bare, a brief moment of unease before the release of water-baptizing skin. With a quiet, "Jesus Mary," I dive in.
Those Winter Sundays by Robert Hayden. Sundays too, my father got up early and put his clothes on in the blue, black cold. Then, with cracked hands that ached from labour in the weekday weather, made banked fires blaze. No one ever thanked him. I'd wake and hear the cold, splintering, breaking. When the rooms were warm, he'd call, and slowly I would rise and dress, fearing the chronic angers of that house. Speaking indifferently to him who had driven out the cold and polished my good shoes as well, what did I know? What did I know of love's austere and lonely offices?
If, by Rudyard Kipling. If you can keep your head when all about you are losing theirs and blaming it on you. If you can trust yourself when all men doubt you, but make allowance for their doubting too. If you can wait and not be tired by waiting, or being lied about, don't deal in lies, or being hated, don't give way to hating, and yet don't look too good nor talk too wise. If you can dream and not make dreams your master, if you can think and not make thoughts your aim, if you can meet with triumph and disaster and treat those two impostors just the same, if you can bear to hear the truth you've spoken, twisted by knaves to make a trap for fools, or watch the things you've gave your life to, broken, and stoop and build them up with worn out tools. If you can make one heap of all your winnings and risk it on one turn of pitch and toss and lose and start again at your beginnings and never breathe a word about your loss. If you can force your heart and nerve and sinew to serve your turn long after they are gone, and so hold on when there is nothing in you except the will which says to them, hold on. If you can talk with crowds and keep your virtue, or walk with kings nor lose the common touch, if neither foes nor loving friends can hurt you, if all men count with you, but none too much, if you can fill the unforgiving minute with 60 seconds worth of distance run, yours is the earth and everything that's in it. And, which is more, you'll be a man, my son.
Begin by Maureen Kennelly. Begin again to the summoning birds, to the sight of light at the window. Begin to the roar of morning traffic all along Pembroke Road. Every beginning is a promise born in light and dying in dark. Determination and exaltation of springtime flowering the way to work. Begin to the pageant of queuing girls, the arrogant loneliness of swans in the canal bridges, linking the past and future, old friends passing through with us still. Begin to the loneliness that cannot end, since it perhaps is what makes us begin. Begin to wonder at unknown faces, at crying birds in the southern rain, at branches stark in the willing sunlight, at seagulls foraging for bread, at couples sharing a sunny secret, alone together while making good. Though we live in a world that dreams of ending, that always seems about to give in, something that will not acknowledge conclusion insists that we forever begin.
Midterm Break by Seamus Heaney. I sat all morning in the college sick bay, counting bells, knelling classes to a close. At 2 o'clock, our neighbours drove me home. In the porch, I met my father crying. He had always taken funerals in his stride, and Big Jim Evans saying it was a hard blow. The baby cooed and laughed and rocked the pram when I came in, and I was embarrassed by old men standing up to shake my hand and tell me they were sorry for my trouble. Whispers informed strangers I was the eldest, away at school, as my mother held my hand in hers and coughed out angry, tearless sighs. At 10 o'clock, the ambulance arrived with the corpse, stanched and bandaged by the nurses. Next morning I went up into the room. Snowdrops and candles soothed the bedside. I saw him for the first time in 6 weeks, paler now, wearing a poppy bruise on his left temple. He lay in the 4-foot box as in his cot. No gaudy scars, the bumper knocked him clear. A 4-foot box, a foot for every year.
On Raglan Road by Patrick Kavanagh. On Raglan Road on an autumn day I met her first, and knew that her dark hair would weave a snare that I might one day rue. I saw the danger, yet I walked along the enchanted way, and I said, let grief be a fallen leaf at the dawning of the day. On Grafton Street in November, we tripped lightly along the ledge of a deep ravine, where can be seen the worth of passion's pledge. The Queen of Hearts still making tarts, and I not making hay. Oh, I loved too much, by such is happiness thrown away. I gave her gifts of the mind. I gave her the secret sign that's known to the artists who have known the true gods of sound and stone. And word and tint I did not stint, for I gave her poems to say, with her own name there and her own dark hair, like clouds over fields of May. On a quiet street where old ghosts meet, I see her walking now.
away from me so hurriedly, her reason must allow that I had wooed, not as I should, a creature made of clay. And when the angel woos the clay, he'll lose his wings at the dawn of day.
Quarantine by Van Boland. In the worst hour of the worst season, of the worst year, of a whole people, a man set out from the workhouse with his wife. He was walking, they were both walking, north. She was sick with famine fever and could not keep up. He lifted her and put her on his back. He walked like that, west and north, until at nightfall, under freezing stars, they arrived. In the morning they were both found dead. Of cold, of hunger, of the toxins of a whole history. But her feet were held against his breastbone. The last heat of his flesh was his last gift to her. Let no love poem ever come to this threshold. There is no place here for the inexact praise of the easy graces and sensuality of the body. There is only time for this merciless inventory. Their death together in the winter of 1847. Also, what they suffered, how they lived, and what there is between a man and woman, and in which darkness it can best be proved.